What's up, people, and welcome to week 101. Count it, week 101. Alongside of me is Andrew George, aka Ticket. It's yours truly, Mark Loisel Jr., aka Shark, right here in the Ocean State. What's happening, Ticket?
Oof, trying to stay dry. That's I know when we're recording this, it's like the middle of a monsoon, so
Yeah.
hopefully our Wi-Fi holds up.
Yeah, hopefully our Wi-Fi holds up, and hopefully the people in New England get better at driving, because
Oof.
I went on a rant a couple weeks ago, probably 3 weeks ago now, but it just it's a continuous problem. Even if it's like a lot of rain, light snow, heavy snow, it doesn't matter what the forecast is. And there's actually a fact out there that the Rhode Island population and the Massachusetts population are two of the worst. They're ranked two of the worst drivers in all of the U.S. So we'll take that prize, and I guess it's not a prize to be worth, but we'll take it around with it. But we will get into the BDE belt. We will also get into underdog picks. It's like riding a bike, Mark. Here we go, back on the bike, baby. We got 101. And we're also going to get into some MLB news. Winter meetings has arrived in Dallas. There's a lot of hot topics going on, which we'll get into with Red Sox, the Yankees, the Mets, all of it and more. So to begin the BDE belt, I'll hand it off to you, Ticket. Who do you got this week?
So I feel like we had a lot of options this week. Just because I don't want to hand the belt to a guy that we've given it to before with Jamar Chase and I feel like we could always say Bengals because they put up a shit ton of points every week, and he certainly balled out. But I'm going to go with Puka Nacua, who had a huge performance for the Rams in what was a big upset win over the Buffalo Bills in a shootout, 44-42. Honestly, easily could have gone with Josh Allen here. He had 6 touchdowns. So, 3 rushing, 3 passing. It was an incredible performance by Josh Allen. But in a losing effort, they were trailing, for a duration of that game. So why not reward the winner? Puka Nacua, 12 catches, 162 yards, a receiving touchdown, also a rushing touchdown with 16 rushing yards and the 9-yard rushing score to get that separation late in the game. So,
yeah.
Puka Nacua, we talked about him earlier in one of our episodes about when he was coming back for that injury, and that Rams team was just kind of like staying alive, treading water, and now things are kind of clicking. And, Matt Stafford kind of did whatever he wanted. It seemed like every big third down they converted, and Nacua was his guy, so I'm going to go with Puka Nacua.
Yeah, and if the NFL had a tournament judging committee, the win that the Miami Dolphins had against the Rams would be high on that list, because the Rams look great right now. I got Sam Darnold. I was also thinking Josh Allen, but me being a Bills hater, I can't give it to Josh Allen. I got to give it to Sam Darnold. 347 passing yards, 5 touchdowns against Atlanta. Yes, Atlanta's defense is absolutely garbage. But I will say this, Jordan Addison, if you are in a dynasty league or if you are in a regular fantasy league, whatever it may be, you got to go high on this guy. He's unbelievable this year. He's finding a way to make things happen. And it's a really good complimentary wide receiver to go with Justin Jefferson, because we all know what Jettis is about. But we all are seeing now what Jordan Addison is capable of doing. Last year, we saw glimpses of it, but this year we're seeing it, and he's been tremendous. Sam Darnold, with the weapons he has, it is going to be tough to beat them when it comes down to the playoffs. So I do have Sam Darnold getting the BDE belt. Before we get into the underdog picks, play underdog today. The deposit offer is up to $1,000 in bonus cash. So get on it, download the app, play, use the promo code Shark Sports. And also, you can always find us out on X at SSR34_, YouTube channel, TikTok at Shark Sports Radio. We are promoting Underdog everywhere and anywhere. And one other thing I want to get into before we get into the underdog picks is my little pick'em I had. I had an 8 pick'em the week before Thanksgiving. If I may rant quickly on this,
You can rant.
I hit 7 out of 8 picks. Now, it was the Patriots game, and I was literally looking at the score against the Colts, and I'm like, wow, if Anthony Richardson can come down here and just score a touchdown and they kick an extra point, this is going to overtime. This money's mine. It's money in the bank. Signed, sealed, delivered. Right to the bank account. Well, here's the thing. Anthony Richardson, that, stupid Indianapolis Colts, decided to go for 2, cost me $4,250. And a big reason why is because Pop Douglas only finished with 3 receptions when his number was at 3.5. So that cost me mightily. I knew that Mike Evans was going to score in the next game. And guess what? He scored in the first quarter. So it was a punch in the gut, punch in the face. Yes, I still won 186. So you could still win your money playing the flex option on Underdog. So let's move on to the Underdog picks. What do you got this week?
Oh man, that was a tough one. I know you were texting me what was going on, and I actually had the Colts money line in a parlay. So I was selfishly you know what? I hope they win in overtime. I hope we can both win.
Yes.
But it's funny because I feel like we always grill coaches. We talked about it. Granted, they're playing the Patriots, not the Chiefs like Tampa was, or some of the other teams that have not had the balls to go for 2 in that spot.
Nope.
But I agree with you. I throw the football logic out the window. If I have a chance to go 8 for 8 on my Underdog picks and win $4,000+, fuck logic. Fuck what's the right football move. I'm trying to get mine.
I don't care that you're the road team and you're playing against the Patriots and Gillette.
Exactly.
Screw it.
Yeah.
Go for overtime.
Yeah. But my first pick, we're going to go with quarterback. And actually, we just talked about how hot they are. But I'm going to reference back to their first meeting and how he struggled for most of that game. That's Matthew Stafford. I'm going to go with higher than half an interception. The Niners, I think, are a desperate football team. We saw them come out and do what they needed to do against the Bears to right the ship last week. Stafford played a really clean game. And listen, he's clicking. We just talked about having Nakua back, Kupp's back. Everyone looks healthy. Kyron. That offense is clicking. But that Niners defense is still real. And I know they're not the same Niners defense from years past, but they're still a very good defensive unit. I think they're just getting their swagger back. It's a short week, which always, I think, kind of leans defense in this a divisional rivalry as well. Stafford has struggled in some of these games against the Niners in his career. So I like the opportunity for him to turn it over here with an interception. I'm going to go higher than a half.
Yeah, I like that pick, and I totally agree with that. Staying on the quarterback side of things, I got Lamar Jackson. I'm trying to go with easy wins, right? Nothing because we've been taking some hits here at Shark Sports Radio, but it's okay. Lamar Jackson, in my eyes, I think it was higher on I believe it's 264.5 passing and rushing yards. So we're combining the two. And you always want to play that safety net because Lamar Jackson can run for days, right? It's always the question of can he throw. And this year he's proven that he can. And last week they took a big hit. They lost against the Eagles, at home. It was 24-19. I know, Saquon was running all over those guys. But at some point, Lamar Jackson's going to have to stand tall and keep the Ravens in the playoff hunt. And that's why against the Giants, what better team to go up against the Giants, get back on the right track. And again, 264.5 passing and rushing yards combined. That's an easy one for me. So higher on that.
I like that. I'm going to go with Alvin Kamara over higher than half a touchdown for their matchup against the Washington football team. Almost said the R word, so I caught myself. Listen, obviously Derek Carr suffered a really terrible injury for the Saints. Kamara is one of the higher used players in the league, both receiving and rushing, so you get an opportunity to get him in twice. The one concern I have with this pick, and the concern is with people who play Kamara and Underdog, and or if you have him on your fantasy football team and you play him there, is that he can get vultured near the goal line by Taysom Hill. So that is a concern, but I think the fact that, they're obviously going to their backup quarterback here, I believe it's Jake Haener. or
Yes.
Rattler. It's
Rattler.
either him or Rattler. I don't know who they're going to go with.
Yeah.
But regardless, Kamara is going to be relied heavy upon. And Washington is susceptible to getting, we've seen some of the better backs in the league beat him up. Obviously, Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, they've had huge performances. Kamara, he still slept on as one of the more productive backs in the league. And I
Yep.
think he finally gets back in the end zone this week in this matchup.
Yeah, and the key component too, Taysom Hill, he's out. He's injured. So he will not be getting the red zone targets as much, obviously, because he's sidelined. So
Yep.
look for Kamara to get a heavy load, whether that's in the passing, the running. You can kind of see him being utilized the way that he was last year down the stretch. Because I believe Derek Carr, did get hurt as well. So you got to be kind of cognizant of that, especially when it comes to red zone targets for Kamara. I got Aaron Jones. I got Aaron Jones on the higher with 79.5 rushing yards and receiving yards combined. And guess what? They are playing the Chicago Bears. And the Chicago Bears have one of the worst defenses in all of football when it comes to red zone defense. And they're finding a way to lose games mightily down the stretch. And I can see, Vikings put up some big numbers against the Chicago Bears. And a big key component is because of Aaron Jones. So given that 79.5 rushing and receiving yards total.
Nice. I'm going to go Malik Neighbors here. So we talked about, Lamar Jackson facing obviously a really bad Giants team. And the Ravens, let's not forget, this is a secondary that has been, very susceptible to giving up some big plays. So Malik Neighbors, his higher than 61.5 receiving yards. I really like the spot for him. I mean, listen, it could be garbage time, but Drew Lock at least gives them the threat of passing more than Tommy DeVito does.
Yes.
They've had some rapport, at least, it seems like they're trying to get him ever since he opened his mouth about, all my targets are coming out. Halftime shows up, I don't have a single target. And then the next week they ended up feeding him I think 6 or 7 targets in the first half. So, obviously the Giants are a mess. Malik Neighbors is the one shining spot. He's trying. I mean, listen, he's made obviously some comments that he talked about the fans who had, Mara, this team's a dumpster fire, whatever that was, hanging over the stadium from that plane. But yeah, I mean, Neighbors, and that's the passion that you see with him. That Hard Knocks episode where they interviewed him, and how do you handle losing? What if we lose? And he's like, listen, I don't handle losing well. I'm not used to losing. I don't like losing. So he's a dog. The Giants really don't have many other options but to get him the ball. And this is a very nice matchup for him against a Ravens secondary that I don't think is, obviously they have their weaknesses, but if this game gets ugly, what do they care? They're going to play shell defense, zone defense, and Neighbors can hit that higher than 61.5 yards. So I'm going to play that.
Yeah, and I feel like Tommy Cutlets kind of took on the Linsanity, right, for a small amount of time. And there's a lot of parallels to it. But again, when you look at Tommy DeVito, is he a guy that you can rely on, every single season? No. And I think the best bright spot for the New York Giants right now is looking towards the future. It's just, you got to find a way to, be competitive and show Malik Neighbors some promise and your young guys promise, Brian Burns, and find a way to at least, build something to build off of going into next season, because it's a wrap. If they get the top 5 pick, good on them to either get Cam Ward or Shador Sanders. So there's going to be a lot of different, leaps and balances that they're going to have to find a way to make things happen, especially, with Brian Daboll moving forward, because that's a question mark that they must have, when it comes to their head coach. Do they want to keep him, where he is, or do they want to bring in a head coach and have him slot over to the offensive coordinator position and draft a quarterback? That's something I would look into, but I'm not the GM. But I really think that, the Giants have to kind of think long-term now. And if they keep focusing on the short term, they realize they don't have the necessities in order to be, in a playoff hunt, for the division. So you got to find a way to, make things proactive versus reactive. So let's see what they do heading into the draft